Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Let us pray. God, I thank you so much again for this opportunity to serve the people of Hutchinson County. God, I ask that we give wisdom and knowledge a chance in our brains to just think about things, God, that will impact our citizens and our residents. And Lord, let us be good stewards of what you give us. Protect all those who fight for our freedoms and fight for our protection, especially here in Hutchinson County and all across the world. Lord, thank you again for what you do. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Thank you. Hey, the first item on the agenda is public comments. No? Okay. All right, we'll move on down then to our consent agenda. Did anybody have anything, any questions or anything on the consent agenda, or do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, on the regular agenda, item 1 is to consider and or approve the professional services agreement between Hutchinson County and Troy Timmons for consulting services with the district attorney's office. Clay, did you have something to add or just an explanation or?
Yeah, I can give an explanation. So this is normally, I mean, we have a line item for trial expenses, and that's normally how we pay our expert witnesses out of. This one's just a little different because Mr. Timmons requires a contract before he performs services. So with that being said, it requires, I guess, approval from you guys to get that done. That the trial that we had this actually set for was supposed to start on the 15th. It's been vacated now, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you all to approve that contract. Mr. Timmons is a highly sought after expert, both from prosecutors and defense attorneys as well. So we're kind of competing with basically everybody around to get him as an expert in these cases. So if we can avoid the waiting process in the future, that would help us out tremendously. That, you know, hopefully we can beat all these other people trying to get him if we need to hire him in the future. I've watched him a couple of times in Amarillo. He does great work. I've been to some of his trainings as well. And in these type of cases that we need him in, you know, we need experts. We've used some people in the past, but I think Mr. Timmons would be exceptional. So just request if you all approve this, that we can continue to use him in the future.
So that just comes out, like you said, that just comes out of y'all's already budgeted stuff.
Yeah, it's already budgeted. And, you know, if for some reason, you know, we had several trials in a year, we'd probably eat through that budget and we'd come back and ask you guys to up the funds, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the professional service agreement between Hudson County and Troy Timmons, LPC, LSO, for consultation services with the district attorney's offices.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Clay. All right, item 2 is to accept the annual audit report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025.
You'll have a big book on your desk. I put this together this year. It's a statutory requirement for me to offer an auditor's report. In the past, we've just kind of used the outside auditor's report, but I wanted to kind of present some information in kind of a different way. So the numbers that are contained in this report are the unaudited. We haven't gotten the final audited numbers from the outside auditor, so there may be just a few minor adjustments. I'm not a public speaker, so just bear with me while I catch it. I really just went over our primary funds, which are the general fund, the road and bridge, airport, and the museum. That's all that's really contained in this, because that's where the bulk of all of our come from. Most of our reports show everything by department, and I kind of wanted to look at stuff a little different this year. And so I had to build my own report because my software won't do what I want it to. So I wanted to kind of show you things by category, where I kind of lumped everything into salaries and fringe benefits, operating supplies, equipment. And then I broke those bigger categories down by subcategories, and then also showed you by department uses. The first page in the report shows the revenue and expenditures budgeted versus the actual across the county's major funds to get a countywide total. You can see on the revenue portion of that report, the total revenues for the county are about $20 million. But it's a little misleading. Part of that, that 1.8 million is transfers, and that's just transfers from the general fund into the other funds. So it's kind of a little misleading. So actually, the total revenue for the county is about 18.5 million. And out of that, property taxes account for about 80%. And then the next page, I think it's actually just the bottom part of that first report, shows expenditure side. You can see that salaries and fringe make up the largest expenditure for the county at about 63% of actual expenditures. This is, of course, because we provide services and you need people to provide those services. For fiscal year 25, the general fund is putting approximately $3 million into fund balance. This number will change slightly because I'll get the outside auditors adjustments, and it'll change just a little bit. If you look on page 3, so the countywide financial services subcategories. This will show the total actual salaries paid to employees are about 7.5 million, or about 43% of the countywide expenditures. Ahead of us. Yeah. There. On page 4, I broke the general fund out by category. Highlighted a few of those categories that were below a certain threshold. For this breakdown, I chose 50%. So any unused budget that was less than 50% is highlighted. This is just for informational purposes. Just to point out just a few little of the outliers. The grant and donations revenue category only used about 2.8%. That's because whenever we received that Wi-Fi grant, I went ahead and put it into the budget, but then of course it was canceled, so we don't use it. And then that's also one of the reasons that the repairs and maintenance was also so out of whack, was because of that unused grant. The miscellaneous category shows that only 4% of that budget was used. This is due to the unused contingency funds, unused trial funds, unused abatement insurance. And you can see those amounts on the slides. If you look on pages 5 and 6, that shows the general fund broken down just a little bit more into subcategories. And again, I chose to highlight those that were under the 50% usage. And capital improvements, only 1.67% was spent. Court services, 38%, detention services, 23%, jury court expense, 1%. Of course, if you don't have it, the trials or the hearings, if you don't have those coordinated costs, so that's kind of why those are out of the normal. And then if you look at pages 7 through 21, it'll break it down even farther into a detail, showing what makes up all of those subcategories. And then we can look at the general fund by department, and this is kind of what you're already seeing. I chose to highlight those that were less than 75% of their budgeted. Again, it's just for informational purposes, just to show those certain ones that below that. And then also you can turn to page 23 through 27, and it shows the departments broken out by category. So you can see each category, each department broke out into category, and then again in subcategory. Then I did the same thing for the road and bridge department. I broke it out by category. So you can see the different categories there. Using the same 50% threshold. You can see miscellaneous is the only one that used 50% or less of its budget. And that was just due to unused miscellaneous expense. But if you look under the revenue section, under transfers in, you can see the general fund funded about $1 million of the road and bridge expenditures, which was about 140 less than what was budgeted. And any of those unused funds get transferred back to the general fund. Also in the revenue section, you can see the interest was budgeted, but none was received. This is because all the interest received gets transferred back to the general fund. Next one, also broke the road and bridge out by subcategory. You can see those major categories broken out a little farther, using the same 50% threshold. You can see those highlighted ones there. Equipment was kind of off because we have to do an accounting entry for any capital expenditures. So they're typically budgeted in equipment, but once we have to put them on the depreciation schedule, we reclass them to capital outlay. So if you put that back into the equipment line, they actually used about 99% of that budget. And then on pages 71 through 72, you can see the detail of each account that makes up those subcategories. And I also did the same for the airport on page 73. Using that same 50% threshold for the categories, you can see those highlighted categories that were under the 50% threshold. If you look at the revenue section under the transfers in, it shows that the general fund funded about 179,000 of the airport expenditures compared to 279,000 budgeted. The interest is also zero because it gets transferred back to the general fund. And then you can see on the ramp grant that we were awarded reimbursement up to $100,000, which is what is budgeted. But we received reimbursements of about 36,000. So that was all the qualified expenses that we had for that grant that year. And then on page 74 and 75, it breaks up the airport down a little further into the subcategories. Again, I highlighted the ones that were under that 50% threshold. And you can see it's operating supplies, fuel, equipment, repairs, bonds, and then department miscellaneous expense. And then the detail for those is on page 76 through 78. It broke down each individual account that makes those categories up. And then on page 59, of course, I did the same. And you can see there the highlighted ones that are under that 50% threshold. And then also on the transfers in under the revenue, you can see that the general fund funded about 235,000 compared to 250,000 that was budgeted. And then the interest, of course, is the same. It goes back to the general fund. And then pages 80 and 81 is the subcategory for the museum. And I've highlighted those that were under the 50% threshold as well. And then 82 through 83 will show the detail for that fund. And I also wanted to show some of the categories, what they look like over the past few years. So I created some charts that'll show the trends. Here you can see the total revenue, total expenditures, and fund balance from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 25. This is only for the general funds. You can see that total revenues has remained fairly consistent over the last 3 years. The jump in revenue from 2022 to 2023 was due to interest rates increasing significantly and increased property values. On the expenditure side, you see a large jump in fiscal year 24. That's attributed to the addition of ambulance service, the addition of cybersecurity monitoring, and some legal fees that were paid out for a property appraisal lawsuit. And then on the last one, the change in fund balance, it had a huge jump after 2022. The majority of the large increases in amounts going into fund balance is attributed to increased revenues received. Increased revenues are due to increased taxable property values, which has created more property tax income, even though the rate has been lowered each year. Another factor is the increase in the interest income. You can see that total revenues from 22 to 23 increased about 2.6 million, and fund balance increased about 2.1 million. Of those increases, about 1.8 million is from increased property tax revenue, and interest jumped from about 85,000 in fiscal year 22 to over 700,000 in fiscal year 23. So it jumped quite a bit. On the next slide, this shows some trends of some of the major revenue categories. For property tax revenue, I wanted to show it compared to total revenue so that you can see the correlation. About 85% to 90% of our revenue is generated from tax revenue. On the fees and funds collected, it continues to decrease. Interest is continuing to increase, but I think interest rates have kind of leveled off and are hanging out around 3 to 4%. But with the more cash we have in the bank, of course, the more interest that will generate. So this will continue to rise. Miscellaneous revenue has a large spike in 23 due to some large insurance claims for like the courthouse and jail roofs. And there were several other insurance claims that year. On the next slide, there are some trends for a couple of the major expenditure categories. You can see a steady increase in the salary and fringe benefits. It's approximately a 5% increase from year to year. Operating supplies and equipment have increased approximately 20% each year from fiscal year 23 to 25. This is mostly from increased computer supplies and software and equipment. Fuel costs have decreased over the years because gas prices have fallen. And There's no real significant changes in repairs and maintenance, but it is trending down. On the next slide, I just threw this in because I think it's really interesting. I wanted to point out our taxable property values and where they come from. Approximately 25 to 30% come from real and personal property. This is homes and personal property from like businesses, like the inventory. Personal property is considered like your inventory stuff and that you have to pay personal business property taxes, I believe. And then the 70 to 75% comes from mineral and industry, or the oil and gas and the businesses in our county. As you can see, our total taxable values move in direct correlation with the increases and decreases in the mineral and industry values. So that blue line is the homes, and then the orange line is the minerals, and the white line is our total. And then the other chart shows our tax rate over the past 8 years and shows how it's been lowered every year since fiscal year 22. This will be interesting. I know it's a lot of information, but I thought it was.
It was a lot of information, but it's good information. I appreciate you
Sometimes when you're
putting that
just
in
departments, you
Yeah.
can't see the total.
the big
of
picture. Yeah.
Salaries is costing, and I wanted to be able to present that. information.
Great information. Appreciate it. When you put this on the agenda, you just put accept. We'll take a vote on that? Okay. Anyone have any questions for Alicia, or do I hear a motion to accept the auditor's report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025?
I'll move to accept the annual auditor report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 25.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. And then item 3 is to accept the monthly auditor's report for the month ending April the 30th. I believe it was attached to your agenda. Any questions for Alicia? Or do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the auditor's report for the month ending in April 30th, 2026.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 5 is to consider and or approve the rental rates for the airport hangars. What did I miss 4?
Yeah.
Maybe I should put my glasses on. Oh, yes, I did. Item 4, consider and or approve the 2026 budget planning calendar. So I attached this. Carrie and I came up with the dates on the left, which pretty much correlate every year to the same dates, maybe 1 or 2 different. It does say 2025. It's because whoever puts that on the website that Carrie gets that from has not updated it. She's emailed them. And I guess they're working on it. But the dates to the left are dates that we need to worry about are correct. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the 2026 budget planning calendar.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, now let's move to 5. Just consider and or approve rental rates for the airport hangars. So I attached those rates, had a meeting with the board on last week on, I don't remember what day it was. But their recommendation at present was to approve the rates as presented until the airport board does a little further research. And the reason why they're saying, let's just go ahead and approve these rates for now. They want to look into some other things with the hangars to see if we need to raise those or lower them. So they're going to do that research, the airport board, and get back with us. But as of current, we would like to adopt the rates that we have. so we can get leases with all of these people and get those current and updated. Any questions?
We actually have some maintenance to do before we raise any rate.
Yes, there's some maintenance on some of the hangars that needs to be taken care of.
So we're approving these rates and the contracts are gonna go out and when it's gonna be another year before we approve them again after they do the research?
Not necessarily.
Well, if we lock in the rates with the contract,
We could make the contract good for 6 months.
I thought we already approved the contract.
We did, but the dates were all blank. We approved it to fill in those
Or
blanks.
we-
And we haven't approved the lease agreement. I think
Only to the two big tenants.
yeah, only to Apollo and
Excellent.
Texas Forest. So the actual just hangar rate lease agreement, we haven't. I've got it on the agenda for the next meeting. So we can look at that.
And my suggestion.
Can approve them all
would be
together.
That you adopt it till the end of the year and then maybe in October. Readdress it and set it for each calendar year.
Mhm.
And then that way.
So it
annually
could
you're
start
reviewing it.
January. Mhm. Questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the rates as stated on the guide I gave you?
I'll make a motion to approve the rates as stated.
Okay. And second? Oh, Ben second. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
I'm abstaining because there's not enough info for any of this.
Okay. All right, item 6 is to consider and or approve prohibiting the sale or use of restricted fireworks in the unincorporated areas of the county for the 4th of July holiday.
So our drought information, our minimum as of this morning, which is actually yesterday's number, 303, maximum of 611, with 468 average, down 7. Like I said, that's yesterday's numbers. At the present time, I don't believe we can restrict sale of fireworks at this time.
So do y'all understand how that works? We've got till the 15th, I believe it is, to make a decision. We don't have a meeting between now and then, so we have to make a decision at this one. And we have to be, to meet the drought index, which we don't. So we can't technically ban the sale or use of them. In the past week or two, Alan and I have had lengthy conversations about this, but well, I mean, we have to follow the law. We can't ban them. And I hesitate to say that we don't have a lot of fireworks fires because we do have some, but that's not the reason we have large fires normally. It could be, but anyway. So the recommendation is not to take any actions towards the restriction. Y'all good with that? Okay. So no action on that. All right, item 7 is to consider and or approve the rural ambulance service grant agreement. So this is our rural ambulance that we've applied for. The court agreed to allow us to go out for the application. It's $350. It goes towards a truck or equipment for the truck. Of course, our only ambulance service provider at present is the city of Borger, because now they're also providing services for Stinnett. So just, we got the actual grant agreement. Craig has looked at it. There's just one thing that he said he would suggest that we approve the grant agreement with the condition that the interlocal agreement needs to be extended. And I'll get that over to Garrett so we can get that extended to meet the grant rules. So, but that shouldn't be a big deal for that. Any questions? hopefully, I know that some of the people that have already signed their grant agreement have already got their money. So as soon as we get this signed into them, I guess they send us a check.
That's 350,000.
Right, three,
300.
no, that's what I meant, 350. I just said, didn't say thousand. Yes. I'm not $350. That wouldn't do much for us. Buy a couple Band-Aids. Maybe.
A couple.
All right, any questions on that, or do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve the rural ambulance service grant agreement pending the change that Craig suggested.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Okay, item 8 is an update on any ARP grant projects. None?
No.
Okay. 9, consider and or approve the burn ban or rescind the burn ban. We still are in a burn ban.
With our numbers, I've maintained that we need to keep the burn ban in place. However, if our moisture, if we do continue to get moisture, you may look at moving it the next.
So no action at this time. All right, item 10, consider and or approve request for the use of the club rooms at the Borger Library or Fridge.
I don't have anything new.
I don't have anything either, but Delina as well as Nancy have asked that we recognize that the summer reading programs are planned for June 17th. Sign up today. And June 24th, the Discovery Center at 4 p.m. in the club room. And it's in the Fridge and Borger.
Awesome. Okay, item 11, consider and or approve line item changes, transfers and or budget amendment. I did not print that off.
Line item transfer for the airport.
Do you have a copy of that? Didn't get it off. Okay, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the line item as presented, line item transfer as presented.
Second,
Second.
motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 12, consider and or approve advertising, opening, accepting or awarding bids. Don't have anything. Okay, item 13, consider and or approve any donations to Hutchinson County. Just the box donations. Do I hear a motion to approve?
To approve the box donations for the museum as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Item 14, discussion of the county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations.
Got a few projects around the courthouse. The refurbish on the 10 Commandment Memorial outside, it should start in 2 to 3 weeks, they said. We're putting in a sidewalk over by the jail to get to the boiler room and their generator and get them out of the mud, having to walk through there. That'll be in the next couple of weeks. We're redoing some sprinkler, and it's a little ditching out here in the line. That's some old pipes and stuff. And that little area's had a problem for a long time. So we're redoing that little section of sprinkler system there. Putting in a couple cutoff valves and stuff. Oh, I got nothing.
Anybody else got anything
Been
going on?
A lot of water because we can't get any rain in Borger.
Right, I know.
Annex needs a lot of water.
I'm gonna start living better. Borger.
I know.
Mhm. Okay, anything else? Nope, nope. Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is to consider and or approve the sale of struck off tax properties and tax deeds. We have a couple of tax deeds. 711 oh no, that's wrong address. These are yours, Chris, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on Monroe.
Yeah, it's on Monroe. 1005 and 1007 Monroe. and they've offered 500 for 10:05 and same 500, yeah, for 10:07. Any,
No, it's just they're empty lots. I mean, Google Maps gonna show some trailers on there, but it's been,
10:05 Monroe.
it's they're just two empty lots, got some trees and some debris clutter that they gotta get rid of, but not, the structure not there anymore.
Uh-huh,
Bridge or border?
It's border.
border, yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's Fritch.
Oh, no, you're right, that is, it's Cornell, yeah. Yeah, border, sorry. There's nothing on that property right now, you said.
Just those trees and things to clear that.
Mhm.
The only thing on that block is the house that's up the corner over there.
All right. Do you want to make a motion for both of these?
It's the same guy. So
Yeah,
I'll
same person.
move to approve the offer for 1,005 and 1,007 Monroe as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right. And then we had a latecomer. Did you have a chance to look at it? Okay, thank you. 508 Elk Drive in Sanford, submitting an offer of $250 has been made by Isaac Harris. Taxes haven't been paid since '89. It was struck off in 2000 and appraised at $690. I believe it's just an empty lot.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of tires and like an abandoned bus.
Lovely.
I couldn't, without climbing into the property, there was looked like a top of a camper out there, but it dilapidated.
Why didn't you climb into the property?
Huh?
Why didn't you climb into the property?
I'm dressed too nice to climb out there. I just went this morning. I just heard about it this morning from the people.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I moved to accept the $250 as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Okay, let's move down to budget workshop and let's talk insurance. We're happy to have Charlotte here, always. So y'all have the information that Amy gave us last time with the 4% raise on the insurance rates, as well as the 1.5, was it 1.5 on the dental?
Okay. I wasn't looking that way.
Wasn't either.
Hi, good morning. So. And on Charles Road. Glad to be back again this year. I wanted to start off with claims experience for the last 3 years. And I've just compiled it for you on this first sheet that looks like this. And then I have all the supporting data at the very back. But so for the PAC Ranger renewal, they look at claims April through March. So your claims experience April 2025 through March 2026. Your premium that you paid in, and this includes the amounts that you collected from your employees, was $1,736,158. So total paid claims, that's the two plans combined, your pay plan and your health savings account compatible plan. TAC paid out $1,235,044. So that's the first time we've not been upside down.
Right, I know. I think
Yeah.
we're doing better. Yay.
Very good to see. So they did ask for a 4% increase. Last year in the 2024 to 2025 plan year, you ended up with a 6.2% increase, and the premium that you paid in was $1,661,000, and they paid out $1,945,000. The year prior to that, 2024 to 2025 plan year, you landed at a 4% increase. Total premium you paid in was $1,600,000. The total paid claims that they paid out was $1,900,000. So when I combine those 3 years, 3 plan years, You paid in $5,020,000. They've paid out $5,141,000. So no one likes an increase. The TAC program, in my opinion, we wish we could put all of our clients into it and see these kinds of increases. Because when you had these 2 bad years back to back, had you been in the private sector, you would have seen a 20+% increase, if not more. We're working the worst renewals we've ever seen right now. So the TAC program being that pulled together, you took these high increases when your claims were bad, you took a lower increase than what you really deserved. So now that you had a good claims year, of course, they're still going to want an increase to help offset those prior years and to help the other counties in their pool that did have a bad claim year like you had the previous 2 years. Okay. So any questions on that before I show you some options? Okay, so your health savings account compatible plan is a $5,000 deductible. And guys, I forgot to put this sheet in here. So it just like went totally over my head because we have no options. The $5,000 health savings account compatible plan, remember everything's subject to the deductible with the exception of your preventative care expenses, certain insulin drugs, vaccinations. Once that $5,000 deductible is met, everything's at 100%. So your out-of-pocket max is $5,000. That's the highest deductible and out-of-pocket max that TAC offers. So they didn't give us any options to increase the deductible on that plan. But on your copay plan on this sheet, you can see your current plan. If you look just kind of middle of the page, it's a $2,500 deductible. Once that deductible is met, the plan pays 80%, your employee pays 20%. If in any year the deductible and that employee's 20% and their co-payments were to accumulate to $4,350, then they're at 100% for the remainder of that year. Okay. So office visits are a $40 co-payment for primary care. Specialties, a $50 co-payment. The emergency room hospital visit is a $150 co-payment plus deductible. Okay. They have to meet their deductible as well. And then their prescriptions have a $100 separate deductible on them. And then based on the type of drug they get, they're paying either a $10, $30, or $50 co-payment. So to the right of that exact same plan, you can see what those rates would be with that 4% increase. And just for reference on your HSA plan, on your copay plan, you only have 19 employees on that plan. Everyone else is on the HSA plan, okay? So option 1 that they showed you would increase their deductible from $2,500 to $3,000. It stays at an 80-60 split, but it increases, it decreases the coinsurance maximum to $4,150. So that's $7,150 out of pocket max versus right now their out of pocket max is $6,850. So it'd be a little bit of an increase there. Keeps all the co-payments and the direct card payments exactly the same. And it's a little bit of a reduction in premium for them. To stay where you are rate-wise on that plan, and it's actually a decrease, option 2 is the one that would fit that bill. So it's a $3,500 deductible, so it increases it by $1,000, still that 80-60 split. 80-20 split, but it increases the coinsurance maximum to $4,650. So the total out-of-pocket max would go from right now they're at $6,850, it would go to $8,150, but it brings their premiums down just a little bit over where they currently are. With only 19 people being on that plan, there's not going to be much savings there. The majority of your spend is in that HSA plan, which they don't have any additional options on. And just to give you reference, currently the employee only rate on that plan is $1,252. It's going to $1,330.
You say that again, Carla.
1252 currently, going to 1330. And change.
That is that the HSA rate?
Uh-huh.
Amy, that's not what you gave us. Do what?
1383 on the HSA.
We currently pay 1330.56 and it's going to 1383.
Last year.
So it's really only going up $53.
Yep, I've got last year's rates. I apologize. It's which one? It's going to 1383.73 from 1330.56.
Right.
Yep. So behind that sheet, just to show you how the spend went by plan. The first page is the PPO, those enrolled in the PPO, and you can see it starts April 2025 on the left-hand column, runs through March 2026. We had 19 covered on that plan until we got to January and one dropped off, and we've had 18 individuals on that plan. And average members would count if an employee had a spouse or a child covered. So that shows us that everyone on that plan is just covering themselves. There's no dependents. So on that plan, you paid in $361,342. On the medical, they paid out $116,327. On pharmacy, they paid out $74,000. So a total paid by TAC of $197,667 on that plan. And then behind that is the HSA spend. So we had, and I don't know why they don't show it the same. But on that plan, whoops, I'm see this. Okay. No, your top claimants. So your top claimants for the whole year, you can see claimant number one had almost $592,000 in spend, and they are this person's still on the plan. And they had very little pharmacy spend, which is unusual because they only had $2,000 of that in pharmacy spend. So if they were on chemo, that's going to show under medical, product pharmacy. Claimant number two is at $155,503. And then we dropped significantly. But claimant one and claimant two, I'm sorry, all these claimants that are over $10,000 in spend account for $1 million of your total plan spend. That's not unusual. Usually 20% of the population spending 80% of the dollars. And then behind that, I gave you your dental claims experience. So we had an average of 4 plan, enrollment of 165. You paid in $54,389. They paid out $44,531. And then behind that, your HSA enrollment and spend. So we averaged 77 employees on that plan with 95 total members. So we do have a little bit of dependent enrollment. You paid in $1,193,000. And the medical was $1,004,000. The pharmacy was $138,000. So a total spend of $1,500,000 on that plan. Your HSA always has worse claims experience than your copay plans. All right, well, we saw the prior years behind that. So you can see that. I will, if you look at 2 pages over, where it gives you your high claims last year. Your top claimant last year had a spend of $600,000. And you'll see that they had a high pharmacy spend of $109,000. Where claimant number two had very little pharmacy spend and had total paid claims of $566. I believe claimant one is off the plan now. which helped your total claims experience this year. Because we don't have anyone with that type of pharmacy spend this claim year. So I think claimant number 2 has moved into claimant number 1 position. So I don't know if that resonates with you, but it appears to me that person's off the plan. Unfortunately, TAC won't give us identifying information where I can tell you that. Or their condition completely resolved, but you usually don't see someone with that kind of pharmacy spend not end up on our reporting unless they keep taking off your plan. They could have retired or moved to a different business. Okay, one thing I want to talk about, if you're on social media or watching the news, you're seeing it. In Amarillo, Blue Cross and Amarillo Medical Specialists have not reached an agreement on their contract, and they each have 2 totally different stories. So Amarillo Medical Specialist is really sought after by a lot of people in Amarillo. It's a lot of primary care physicians, but it also has, I think all but one of, what are they called? Diabetic, the doctors that treat diabetes. Thank you. Endocrinologist, a gynecologist. We have a neurologist there as well. And so it's really, I don't know if you're hearing it from your employees. What we've been told by someone high up at BSA who left BSA for about that long and went to work for Blue Cross and their provider department is that they typically have 4 individuals that cover Texas that negotiate these contracts, and all but one have quit. And so that person is just not responsive to AMS. Dr. Keister, Alan Keister in Amarillo, who happens to be my doctor's at AMS, and he says they're just getting 0 response. So we really thought it would take care of itself by the time their contract terminated, which was May 1st. But I talked to him just last week, and he said they still have not heard anything. Texas Department of Insurance is involved. I'm not sure what, if anything, they can do, but if you hear anything out of your employees, they are able to apply for a continuity of care program, but I'm not seeing those approved with the primary care physicians. I'm seeing those approved with the specialists within AMS, but only for a 90-day period, which gives them time, hopefully, to find a different doctor. It's created quite a mess. Amarillo Medical Specialist says they have not had an increase since 2019, and they're being paid less than what Medicare pays them. And that they're not hearing anything from Blue Cross. Blue Cross put out a piece that said they're in active negotiations with them. So I tend to believe AMS. So anyway, has that affected anybody here that you're aware of?
I think it has affected maybe one. I believe that was the, maybe the doctor. That they were, so.
Well, we really have a shortage of specialists in Amarillo anyway, and so many people are having to go to Lubbock. This is just pushing more people outside, which is not a good thing. We feel like at some point they will come back together. I just have no idea when that will be. That's way above my pay grade. So other than that, I think network wise, we're good with Blue. Any questions of me? If you want to make a change on that copay plan, I believe they want to know by June the 26th. Would need to let them know that and then convey to them.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Oh, I do, yes, yes.
So, we do have one more meeting that we could, you know, unless y'all are ready to make a decision today on the increases. You see on the information that Amy gave us what the increase is going to be on the HSA and the increase on the 80/20 plan, the copay plan. So we know what they're going to be. Last year, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the county absorbed the increase. I don't think we put any of that off on the employees. Or not, yeah. Because So the employees still pay zero. They do pay some for, other dependents that they have on their plan. Do we have anyone that has a family plan?
We have one,
It's a lot.
well, I think they ended up taking it off. Yes, we do have one
Okay.
that has the family plan.
Okay.
On the high deductible.
So thoughts, discussion? As far as,
Do you think of any other scenarios or anything else that y'all would like to look at, on insurance?
We just put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Will have to be approved next.
yeah, we can, but we're gonna have to make a decision next meeting for sure, because Amy's got to do all the worksheet and get the information to tax so they can have it. So our next meeting is like the 22nd, is that right? Which that still gives us a couple days, but we don't wanna. Will you be here at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I was not supposed to be at this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. So is that what y'all want to do? You want to put it off? Make a decision?
Oh, I'm not for sure. Are we just saying go with option one, option two? We can't make a decision because.
We need to decide what to do with the increase. Do the county pay it, absorb it? Do they,
Is that-
let the,
Been on the
It's not
agenda.
good, yeah.
It's not on the agenda for today.
well, it's in the budget workshop. So, because this is part of our budgeting. We always make that decision in our budget workshop and we just decide to do whatever.
So do we need to add it to the agenda? for
I
next time
can.
Instead of in the budget workshop?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Charlotte. Thanks for the info too.
Thank you.
Doesn't TAC come and do the same presentation again?
It will not be here.
They did a workshop. Everyone had the chance to get on it and
They
watch
did a
it.
couple years ago. They can't ask them to. They did because,
Well, I was just seeing it.
Yeah, they have in the
Yeah.
past.
I remember. I mean,
yeah, they both were.
They usually do it like last month or before, like when we get all the final numbers.
because all this is tax information. She just shares it with us.
Right. And you did get that email that
Yeah.
showed, okay, good.
All right, any other questions for Amy, or do y'all want to see any other options? I don't know what that would be, but. Okay, all right, I'll put that on the agenda for next time. We needed to talk about the courthouse security budget, right? I have a note. I think maybe I was talking to the sheriff about that.
Yeah.
Courthouse security budget. So you can come on up. In order for the sheriff to be able to put a reserve in that position, we don't have any money budgeted. We have a budget, a line item, we just haven't budgeted anything.
So after the courthouse security policy was approved by the Commissioners Court, looking at the implementation of the policy and how we make sure that that position's covered all the time. Because, normally it's if say Holman goes on vacation or if he's sick or something like that, sometimes we just can't fill the position. It's kind of hit and miss. And most of the time he's great about being here. He's
Yeah,
hardly
he
ever,
never takes off.
hardly ever calls in sick,
Twice.
rarely takes
times.
vacations.
Yeah.
And so he does a great job, but every once in a while to meet the policy where I don't feel like that I'm kind of getting set up for a failure situation here, because the one time I don't have it is the one time something's gonna happen. So to make sure that I'm kind of doing my best to meet the policy. I had a meeting with the two district judges and with Judge Irwin. The district judges actually brought it up about using courthouse security funds to hire a reserve deputy to come in and fill a spot only whenever, or I'm not having to take what was within deputies that I have for the rest of the county, and even collect additional comp time or whatnot with that. They said there's more than enough as far as funding in there to do that, but in this situation, I'm just trying to, like you said, figure out how I can kind of fill this void without, setting myself up for failure with it. I think that what I would do is, after talking with Amy and I think you would talk to Alicia about it too as well. So I can't use a full-time deputy to plug in the position because they're technically still assigned by me to come into that position. So this will be a reserve deputy position. So I'd have reserves only. It's a part-time situation. Instead, very rarely only when Holman's not here to plug into that position anyway, but using courthouse security funds. But I mean, that's really the nuts and bolts of it.
So you just need a yes
So
to
when
do
we're
that?
talking budget this year and we're looking at that budget for courthouse security, we need to budget an amount to cover that. Cause right now we have that line item, but we don't have anything budgeted.
Yeah.
To
We
pay.
don't have that line item. We don't have.
I thought we did. We have a fund.
We have
We have
a
A
fund.
fund, I'm sorry.
We have a
Yes.
miscellaneous line item, but
Right.
it really should be
Its own.
payroll
Mhm.
line item because it'll have to go through payroll.
Right.
So what are you thinking on, what's that gonna require?
As far as the reserve part of it, I have to go through the same processes and, background checks, just like any other deputy. It a little bit lengthy as far as getting that done. So it'll take us a couple of weeks.
Is Kaylin the only reserve we have at
The
present?
only one that I reserve currently, and that's.
Yeah, she bailiffs my court.
County court. Yeah, that's the only reserve.
They're just paid hourly when they have to
Personnel
do it.
will have to be
Determining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how much they're gonna get paid,
Only off.
how much we.
Yeah, an off-duty rate, that's what we'll have to have a discussion on, what the normal off-duty rate is, it's kind of up and down, so it's I know like the city of Borger and Hudson County, but what they do off-duty jobs for other places, usually it's like a $50 an hour rate. But, obviously we can come to some discussion on what that rate would look like.
So what would the budget, what would you be thinking on the budget part, so, for the year?
As far as the year, so I would look at, I would calculate into like Holman's vacation time, what he has, so that gives me a kind of a set number.
Mhm.
Then maybe some buffer in there for any sick time or something like that, that would have to a couple extra days. So I'm looking at, I'm gonna say roughly about 5,000 or so a year, around there. That's what my initial calculation came out to be. Yeah, well,
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. So that's something to just think about.
But that won't happen on the next budget.
Well, not this year. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. That's why I put that in the budget, so we can talk about that. Be thinking about that when we really get down to the nuts and bolts of our budgeting. Anything else on the budget? Alicia, was there anything you wanted to talk about?
No, I've got.
Just remind everyone to get their-
everybody's Department budgets, I just need to plug it all into the software.
Okay.
That Excel spreadsheet. The software's done.
So we've got it, almost everyone's in.
I think so.
Okay, good. Thank y'all for getting those in. Anything else y'all want to talk about budget wise? Nope. Okay, then, if there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?